Special meeting for the Planning Commission, meeting November 13th, 2025. Meeting is beginning at 6 o'clock. Let's see. If you're on the phone and you'd like to join the meeting, during the public comment portion of the agenda, please push 9 to raise your hand and we will select you from the meeting queue. Press 6 to unmute and mute yourself. I'd like everyone to stand for the flag salute. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Corey,
Here.
Commissioner Franco,
Here.
Commissioner Hall, Commissioner Kessler,
Here.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Here.
Vice Chair Standridge,
Here.
and Chair Garcia.
Here. Potential conflicts of interest. Any commissioner who has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter.
I have a conflict of interest. I received guidance that it is best for me to abstain from item number 3 to ensure its integrity. So at that time, I will be leaving.
Okay, thank you. Oral communications. Notice to the public. At this time, any member of the public may address the commission regarding any item over which the commission has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the chairperson for review. Members of the public shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes. During the public hearing, I will first ask for the staff's comments and reports on the items being discussed. After staff's presentation, I will then open the hearing to public testimony. I will then close the public hearing, at which time no member of the public shall address the commission unless specifically asked by a member of the commission through the chair. The Planning Commission will then discuss the matter among themselves and take action on the items being considered. Again, remember, if you are online, you press 9 to raise your hand and 6 to mute and unmute yourself. Apologize, it's *9 and *6 to mute and unmute yourself.
I don't see nobody on the line.
Thank you. All items considered on a consent calendar are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote. For purposes of discussion, any commission member may have an item removed from the consent calendar and made part of the regular agenda. The commission can then approve the remainder of the consent calendar. The first item is consideration and necessary action in the minutes of the August 25th, 2025 meeting.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving? Oh, we have a roll call vote, sorry.
Commissioner Corey,
Yes.
Commissioner Franco. Oh, it's Ramirez. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Ramirez,
Yes.
Commissioner Franco,
Yes.
Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
Vice Chair Standridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler, Chair Garcia.
I abstain. Okay.
I don't too.
Okay, first item, agenda item number 2, Plan 2523, public hearing to consider the tentative parcel map application proposing to subdivide an existing property into 4 parcels located at 1740 Todd Street, APNs 388, 193-28, -29, and -30. At this time, staff, if you could give your report.
Planning Commission, before you, we have, Todd Street, tenant parcel map plan 2523 that will be project overview and purpose for the project here is applicant is, Matt Greenwood. The Todd Street area is roughly 2 yards. Asking to reconfigure and subdivide into 4 parcels within the M2 A8193-28-29 and -30. Purpose is to facilitate future industrial development and use policy. Plan for perspective, the aerial there is
Sorry, a little bit to interrupt. You're missing one more parcel number 32. Just for the record,
32.
it's 4 parcels.
Yeah, it's 32 is actually, so that needs to be ended in our agenda here because 32 is actually piece there that's actually belonging to the state of California. So that one's not included in this.
Thank you.
And this is the aerial of the property. It's off of Todd Street and Whitson around. And the parcel map is here. So we got lot A. Property is not included in nor. General plan and zoning consistency. It is within the general plan, the 2035 general plan. It is as industrial intended for manufacturing, distribution, and related project supports efficient use of land and infrastructure. As M2, as I mentioned before, heavy manufacturing. Each parcel does meet the minimum lot area and width for the public improvement and frontage conditions. Paul Avenue along that area is paved with roadway, curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Todd Street, however, the frontage is partially improved. It does lack continuous curb, gutter, and sidewalk. There are older driver approaches that are not ADA compliant, and there are some gaps that limit the happen addressing their condition. In addition, there's a Selma Branch Canal coordination easement that we'd like to just ID and the property owner. Branch Canal does run adjacent to the site. Currently a 1992 licensing agreement between CID and Nelson and property. Have to view for the maintenance and canal. Currently, again, it's the review required. Access maintenance. Map Act compliance. Has been reviewed for compliance with the California Subdivision Map Act. Map again does provide adequate access, utility. In terms of an environmental review for CEQA, it's category exempt under CEQA guideline 15315, which is minor land division. Project subdivides an urbanized site into 4 parcels consistent with general plan and zoning. Staff, we are recommending that we adopt resolution. The parcel map plan 2523. We have determined that the project is category exempt under CEQA guidelines 15315, minor land division, and that will conclude the map, the second agenda item. Questions, line Deputy City Manager Keen.
I got nothing to add.
At this time, I'd like to open up the hearing to public testimony. If you would like to comment on this agenda item, step up to the microphone in the podium, state your name and address, and you can make comments for up to 3 minutes. If you are online, you can raise your hand online in the Zoom. If you are on the telephone, remember *9 will raise your hand and *6 will mute and unmute. Are there any public comments at this time?
I don't see anyone on the line.
Seeing that there's no public comments, we will now turn the item over to the commission. Okay. Go ahead.
I was gonna, let me see. I make a motion that we approve the tentative parcel map.
Hold on, Ramsey.
Yes, sir.
Can Tama go to the podium?
Could you please approach the podium, state your name and address?
You may have to turn on the mic too.
You would also need to reopen the public hearing as well, Chairperson.
At this time, I'd like to reopen the public part of the hearing.
Mike Munoz, 20. 1740 is the body shop, correct?
Yeah, I believe that's the property to the lower right corner that I mentioned. That's not part of this tentative map. Corner here? Oh, then yeah, that is included in the map. Yeah, the
L, right?
sorry. Correct. I'll have to confirm the addresses, but those are the parcels that are being subdivided, correct? Original address is 1740, but they'll all be separate parcels. Correct. So you got 1, 2 where the body shop's at, 3, and then this one is kind of makes a funky shape. That's 4. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and here's 4. Correct, correct. Currently, yeah, until it's subdivided, correct.
Are there any other public comments? Okay, at this time, I'd like to close the public comment part. I believe there was a motion that was made. If you'd like to restate that.
I make a motion to approve Plan 2523, tentative parcel map application proposing the subdivision of this existing property into 4 parcels.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Corey,
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler, Commissioner Franco,
Yes.
Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sandridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Yes.
and Chair Garcia.
Yes.
And approved.
We're going to move on to agenda item number 3, application number 2022-0030, public hearing to consider general plan amendment annexation pre-zone tentative subdivision map and site plan review for the Casitas Selma project and to recommend city council certification of the final environmental impact report and adoption of the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. Staff, if you could make your presentation.
That's, the other one. Get the, slideshow ready. Can you guys hear?
It's quiet.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Okay, sorry about that. You can just make it bigger. That one. Okay. Before you, we have the Selma Casitas project, project 2022-0030. This is again for a general plan amendment, annexation pre-zone, tentative subdivision map, and site plan review. Click on the screen somewhere, please. There you go. The applicant for these project is the River Park Properties 2. Owner Edward M. Cashin. Locations of the property is west of Highland Avenue, north of Rose Avenue, south of East Floral. The project area approximately is 39.07 acres. It's currently unincorporated in Fresno County. The project annexation area is approximately 75.3 acres. Forward. One more. Thank you. The annexation and pre-zone into the city of Selma, as I mentioned, it's roughly, the project summary here is 600 multifamily residents, 40,000 square feet of commercial retail restaurant space, a 100 key hotel, approximately 3.57 acre central park, and approximately 36.2 acres reserved for future medium density housing. The subdivision consists of 17 lots plus 3 outlots, roughly between 0.10 and 4.85 acres.
And if I could add to Lupe's presentation, the 600 multifamily units is divided between 300 market rate units, 120 senior units, and 180 workforce units.
The site plan circulation, so here's a site plan for perspective here. There will be private internal access roads within the landscape corridors. Stillman Street would be widening and with improvements. Fancher Street extension of Floral Avenue and arterial and collector streets are dedicated to the city. Internal streets probably will be maintained. General plan and zoning consistency, the existing general plan designation is regional commercial. Proposed general plan designation is regional commercial and high density residential, and the proposed zoning is R4, high density residential, and C3, commercial service. Land use context for an idea here, north of the property, or the proposed property, is regional commercial, C3, which is in the city of Selma. South end of the property is medium density, which is in Fresno County. On the east side, currently where Food for Less in that shopping center lies is regional commercial, C3, city of Selma, and then west of the property is regional commercial, also in Fresno County. And as Jerome mentioned, this is our housing element and our arena consistency. As he mentioned, the 600 multifamily units is 180 that are affordable, 300 are market rate, and 120 are senior living. This does advance the city's goal to meet RENA target of 1,400, just under 1,500 units by 2033. And it does promote infill, annexation, and housing diversity. Environmental review, CEQA, the lead agency of the city of Selma. The EIR schedule number is 2024-070-105. We did have a draft EII comment period that went from May 23rd to July 7th of 2025. Within that review period, we received 6 comment letters. The agencies are listed there and some of the different departments. Those are also found in the EIR report that's attached in the staff report. Most of the impacts are mitigated to less than significant levels. Some impacts remain significant and unavoidable. There's no recirculation required under CEQA 15088.5. And recommendation is certify the final EIR and adopt the MMRP. For the record, as we were able to meet with the team a few days ago, and there were some corrections, some clarity that they wanted with regards to the conditions. They're not reflected in your staff reports. We're trying to get them done all the way to the last minute here. So they will be, just for record and for note, just for through them, but just so it's on record that some of the things we talked about. Give me 1 second. Pull it up. So the first one being was under the planning department conditions, impact fees being payable, and when they were technically due. And so to clarify that, we added the verbiage prior to certificate of occupancy. Moving on to engineering. Condition number 13. It stated that the pavement should have been of asphalt concrete, and so we modified that because the developer is proposing alternate surfacing materials such as Portland. So we made that adjustment, and that verbiage changed within the conditions to read that to satisfy either the asphalt concrete or the asphalt, the pavement or the asphalt concrete. Condition number 14, similar. Alternate pavement section is just getting further clarity on that. Condition number 33, 1A I and BI, off-street improvements. The clarification there was the 50-foot, I believe, 50-foot to center line. So the condition reads dedicate an additional 20 feet of right-of-way south of the existing 30-foot dedication measured from the section line to provide a total right-of-way width of 100 feet. For example, 50 feet from center line for public street and utility purposes. And then condition 35.
Lupe, if I could expand on that, the clarification on the center line versus the section line is the road may be centered on the section line, but along Floral Avenue, there's transitional pavement and different. It doesn't necessarily run straight east to west, and so there's some curvature. So the center line should just be the reference of the right of way. It may be the section line, but for clarity purposes, we're just referring to it as center line rather than section line. That's just a minor. It's a very technical change, but a change nonetheless. We just wanted to make everybody aware of that.
Thank you. Condition 35 is alternative city standards regarding the drive approaches. The city engineer recommended ST7, but also the applicant would like to leave it open to ST6 or ST9, and still subject to approval by the city engineer. So condition 37 was reworded just to further clarify the trash enclosures and ADA requirements. And the developer may potentially propose a trash compactor. And so this condition was just reworded to make sure that it's still, whether they do the regular trash enclosure or one with the trash compactor, that they still meet ADA requirements. 38 was details regarding a block wall. So the perimeter wall, the new condition will read: the perimeter wall along the southern property line shall be constructed in accordance with city standard M1 and shall utilize split face block. Alternative wall designs or incorporating other materials may be permitted, subject to the review and approval by the city for consistency with city standards for durability, appearance, and neighborhood compatibility. Moving along to SKF standard, I believe this is just a SKF standard was confirming that if there was any upsizing regarding infrastructure, existing infrastructure, that the developer applicant would be entitled to impact fee credits. So we made that clarity change within the condition.
And for the record, the city collects the sewer impact fees because the city owns the infrastructure that's installed. The only infrastructure in the sewer system the city doesn't own is the major trunk line that runs between Fowler, Selma, and Kingsburg to the SKF wastewater treatment plant. And so we collect the impact fees because it technically is the sewer system of the city of Selma. It is just operated by SKF. So we have the ability to dictate to some extent the credit received on those impact fees as well.
Thank you, Jerome. Moving on to the Selma Unified School District. The applicant wanted clarity on when the school fee shall be paid and what they applied to. And the specification was making sure that this applied to vertical construction and like normal, they're usually paid prior to issuance of building permits. So that is the rewording of that. Mid-Valley disposal was the trash enclosure, similar to the engineering comments. Trash enclosures or trash compactors still must be approved by Mid-Valley and city standards. And the last three here are going to be Caltrans related comments. Let's see, these are comment one. There was 2 letters that were found in your EIR report that were submitted during the project review period. So the applicant wanted to make sure that the letters wasn't just generally termed letter, that it was actually specified to those specific letters being June 28, 2024 and June 12, 2025. Again, those letters are both in your packet. And number 3 comment or condition. This one reads, prior to the issuance of grading of building permits, the applicant shall obtain all necessary encroachment permits and approvals from Caltrans from any work or improvements within the Floral Avenue, which lies under Caltrans right away. So just getting clarity on that. And number 33, I believe I covered that one already. That's the one that Jerome talked about with the 50 feet from center line clarification. So.
And in regards to the Caltrans comments, I think it's really in regard to their area influence of where they can require encroachment permits if the improvements required, such as widening a floral, is within, I think it's 150 feet of the off-ramp. And so it's just the coordination portion does require some city and Caltrans coordination. So that's really just part of the cleanup. Their comment letters, I think, speak for themselves in some aspects. Caltrans used to comment on level of service requirements, level of service D, E, F, what have you. The CEQA threshold for traffic is now vehicle miles traveled. And so many of their comments are merely suggestive at this point. They don't have the same type of comments that they may have had in the past with regard to widening the lanes and making improvements of that nature. And that's it regarding the Caltrans comments. Go ahead.
So staff's recommendation that the planning commission adopt a resolution recommending that the city council certify the final impact report schedule number 2024-070105 and adopt the mitigation monitoring and reporting program pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and further approve the general plan amendment, annexation, pre-zone, tentative subdivision map, and site plan review for the Casitas project. The proposal, approximately 39.07 acre mixed-use development, annexation area of 75.3 acres, consisting of approximately 600 multifamily units, 40,000 square foot commercial and fast food service space, and a 100-key hotel, subject to the conditions of approval. With that, I believe that's the last slide. Yeah, okay. So staff will be able to, or do you want to do the presentation next? Okay.
Yeah, and we wanted to keep our presentation relatively concise. I know it was a lot of information, but we also wanted to allow the applicant ample time to present their project as well.
the applicant will present a slideshow for you as well.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Sal Gonzalez with Lance Cashin Company. I'm at 255 East River Park Circle, Suite 120, Fresno, California. Hi there. In Fresno, California, 93721. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. And so we're going to quickly go through a presentation. I do want to first introduce our development team, but also our management team that's with us. And several of them are going to have a part of the presentation. Mr. Scott Beck, the architect of record, is here to my left. Keith Jolly is the civil engineer of record with Martin and Patello, and Jose Benavides with JLB Traffic Engineering. Dusty Valero, who is with Broussard Landscape Architects. And then Robert Arndt, who's our chief of security. Eric Peterson is here, and he's our director of leasing and property management. Santana Olguin is our facilities director, who likes to remind me that he hails from Carruthers, California, not too far down the road. And then Mike Mua, who's with Turner Security, one of our longtime partners in securing the assets that we oversee. And then, of course, former supervisor Henry Perea and Adon Garcia. And I think, Supervisor, you wanted to open up with a couple of comments and before the slideshow.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission for this opportunity to make this presentation to you all today. This is about a 2-year project in the making to get to this step. It takes a lot of work, as you can see, the folks that are involved in a project like this, but we really want to thank your staff for being so responsive to this project that we've been developing through. It's been very helpful, and we appreciate that. So thank you. And I'll tell you, when Mr. Cashin and President of Lance Cashin, Sal Gonzalez, called me a couple years ago saying, hey, we'd like you to be a part of this project, I was happy to do so for a couple of reasons. You know, one, my family, I call this my second home, Selma. My family grew up here in Selma. My mother's parents were on Knowles Avenue. So as kids, as our moms worked in the cannery, Libby's Cannery, we spent all our summers here with our grandparents. So I know Selma very well. My cousins, you know, obviously are here. And we were really happy to be a part of it. Well, I was really happy to become a part of this project because knowing Mr. Cashin for 30 plus years, this gentleman builds nothing but quality projects in this valley. So him and his team recognizing that Selma being the regional hub that it is in this part of the county, that a project of this quality would do a lot of great things for this community and for this region. So yeah, I was happy to be a part of it. I think what you'll hear today in today's presentation are things that we have heard where some folks have had either questions or concerns about this type of project. One was, well, why are you building this versus something else? So part of the presentation, you're going to be hearing what in buying this property, what the restrictions are and what we can and cannot do on that property. The other questions sometimes we've heard is, you know, we see it as the workforce housing because Selma is a community that has a lot of folks that work at an average income that would qualify for this type of home. So you're going to be hearing what our perspective is on that element of housing. And third is just traffic. I mean, we know Floral Avenue is a pretty busy street. Whether this project comes or not, Floral is going to be busy. But I think what you're going to hear today is how this project really alleviates some of that traffic congestion that you're having on Floral Avenue. So I'll leave it there and turn it over to President, CEO, Sal Gonzalez. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. You got them? Okay, let's get going. Thank you very much. So start the slideshow there, Don. Here we go. Okay, so we'll briefly go through the site location. Previous work from our side, we don't haven't had an asset that we've been able to interact with the community before, and so we thought we'd share a little bit about our background. Talk a little bit about, as Mr. Prey indicated, there are certain things we cannot do, so prohibited uses that were realized before our acquisition or added to the deeds. Then we'll hear Scott Beck talk a little bit about the actual project, walk you through the site plan and kind of the amenities and how we envision this from the architect's side, and then the traffic circulation and relief. We clearly, you can go to the next slide, know that there were several questions. We were fortunate enough to be able to meet in this room a few weeks ago and to have a community workshop and have certain questions raised and respond, and so to inform the community. So the next one, site location, obviously, as Lupe had indicated, it's on the west side of 99, south side of Floral. So this is where it looks like juxtaposed up against the balance of the city. We can keep going. Next slide, yeah. And there's an aerial view of the real estate, the subject real estate for the site plan portion that you can see is obviously just adjacent to the Food for Less. Next slide. This is a rendering of what the site would look like as with the landscaping applied to the site. Sometimes just seeing a plan view is when you're looking from top to bottom of what this would look like. And so we thought this would help you understand the amenities of the project and how the park is juxtaposed amongst the community. And we strongly emphasize a pedestrian-friendly mixed-use project. It's something that we're fairly used to developing in the master plans. Next one. So a few minutes, we're entering into the city of Selma, and we take that with very seriously. And so we think it's important, having grown up in Easton and metropolis of Delray, we like to kind of know who we're doing business with, and that we're not going to be coming in from out of town and building something and leaving, and it just, we've kind of all grown up along here too many times. And in fact, I think I've lost too many games to Selma High football when I was at Washington, but we'll set that aside for a minute. Keep going. Thank you. So obviously, Lance Cashin and Company is the general partner of River Park Properties. That's who owns the real estate. And without getting too convoluted, Ed Cashin and his partners took down a couple thousand acres, decades ago. And we're very serious about how we apply the design and the work. And we tend to spend more money on the first in costs in our world, drives a lot of people nuts. But we'd rather have good quality equipment, HVACs and other elements of projects, and how we design. We design generally and build infrastructure first. So many of you have seen, if you grew up in this area, how River Park was developed kind of stage by stage, but all of the infrastructure, next slide, was developed at first. And so you can see that before we built the first building, we call it's the old Gottschalk's headquarters, if you remember that. It's been converted now. And by the way, Scott Beck was one of the designers who designed under Jin Wong, and Jin Wong was a designer under Will Silvera. Will Silvera designed the Transamerica building and laid out UC Irvine. And so we're very proud of this work, and you can see it's not just development. It's many people forget that there's real estate development, but there's also human development. Next slide. So this is the village at River Park. This is the office side of this mixed use master plan. We have about 500,000 square feet in multiple office buildings. You can keep going. And then years later, there's about 42-acre master plan on the campus of Fresno State. We felt like this would be an incredible amenity for those of you. Although I didn't graduate from Fresno State, I certainly attended. And Campus Point has done well. It's one of the highest densified areas, I think, in the valley call it between Bakersfield and Stockton. We have about 1,000 units of student housing that's really performing well. We have 141 units of workforce housing. That's an 80-20 mix, in 20% of it affordable. And we have 142 units we opened a couple of years ago. Some of you may have been to Matavillosa. We're very proud of that. That's market rate senior housing. Beautiful, it's performing well. And then we'll open up a 138 key Hyatt House Hotel December 10th is what it's looking like. And so this is a fairly dense, certainly much more dense than what we're looking at in Selma. We can keep going. This is what Campus Point looked like in 2011, and you can see that the master plan, we lay down the infrastructure first, and you can see the beginnings of what we call Palazzo. That's the 1,000 beds of student housing. Next slide. And then the third master plan that we wanted to share in terms of, and this is not just, being our chest, so to speak, but it's important, at least growing up in the Central Valley, I want to see who we're working with. And it's important for you to see, we think, who do we have the capacity, the capability, and to be able to develop. This is the Fancher Creek Town Center. This has been in the news a little more recently because we just opened a 149,000 square foot Target in the what is now considered the Fancher Creek neighborhood. In the southeast quadrant of Fresno, and then we opened Sprouts on Friday, and yesterday, of course, the In-N-Out Burger. You can keep going. This is part of a larger master plan. It's about 476 acres. It's hard. It's hard. I'll be candid with you, but when you have really good working professionals and you put your nose to the grindstone, you can finish. And this is an area where you'll see there's a business park that's part of the master plan. There's a village center that's not developed out yet, but there's a CVS there. We have those four corners. Much of the real estate was acquired this whole area kind of between Clovis and just east of Fowler. And then the town center that I was just sharing with you, we worked really hard with the city for them to develop and build a City of Fresno Police substation. And then in the business park, the county sheriff's department built a new sheriff's substation. And so again, and there's a creek and a trail that meander through the community here. All holistic approaches of which our objectives are for this community. It's so much easier to build a strip center and move on. And quite frankly, it'd be a lot easier to come in and just run it down and keep going. But this mixing of the uses and the thoughtfulness and continuity of the infrastructure is critical. It's really important. Keep going. We'll get there. This is a couple images of Matavillosa. We wanted you to see specifically some of the housing that we have developed. Next one. This is Palmilla. This is the workforce housing that's on the campus of Fresno State that I mentioned earlier. Keep going. And this is the Palazzo. This has afforded a lot of good experiences for students. They have a great time at this facility, and we have multiple property management teams that help us to manage. Next slide. So enough of that work. And so let's begin to turn our eyes toward this great city. And so prohibited uses, next one. So there's been a number of questions posed to our team, asking us why don't we design a Costco or a Target? We're fairly used to it. Ed Cashin's built, I think, 52 Costcos in California. We're a little bit used to it, but we're just simply prohibited. So we cannot. It's part of the when we acquired the property. It's not something that we designed in. This is a formerly held by Walmart. And so it's restricted. We can't put a discount store, a wholesale membership, warehouse club, a grocery store, a supermarket, a pharmacy or drugstore, dollar store. And so the list you can see, and we're not going to do adult bookstores. That's not what we do for a living. But you can see that these are just simply prohibited. We can't. We're restricted. Next slide. We'll talk a little bit about Casitas Selma. And so I'll ask Scott Beck to come up and walk us through the next couple of slides.
Hi, my name's Scott Beck. I'm an architect. I've been working in California as an architect for 40 years now. And for about 35 of those years, I've been involved in projects in the Central Valley. So I'm here tonight to introduce our community called City of Selma. Is there a pointer up here? Okay. Next slide. This is just a little overview of the numbers, and we can run through that. It's what you've heard before tonight. 39 acres total, 3.5 acres for public parks, 5 acres for affordable housing, senior housing, 7 acres for affordable multifamily units, 11 for 300 market rate multifamily units, and another approximately 5.5 acres for commercial uses, retail, fast food, plus a hotel for 100 keys. We could go to the next slide and just go to so the project is laid out in about 5 major areas. Along Floral Avenue, we've got our retail portion. There's 2 pads we've got laid out for drive-through restaurants, some linear retail, a large box or a mid-sized box that we've got planned on the west end here, and this would be the hotel here. That's kind of our front door off of Floral. Once you get introduced to the site there, you get into the housing area, and we've got 4 distinct areas of housing, all have an equal kind of frontage looking out on our central park here. Affordable housing, 7 acres, 180 units here, 3-story tall garden walk-up units with plenty of land for gardens, walkways, parks inside. A 6,000 square foot clubhouse for the pool area and the main front door of that unit. Directly below that would be the affordable senior housing. Similar layout. It's 120 units, 3-story walk-ups, about a 10,000 square foot amenities clubhouse here. And then, well, the west part of the site is divided in 2 equal areas for the market rates. Each of them has 150 units. They're all meant to be about equal scale. They all surround what we call our central park area. It's about 3.5 areas, about a 1/4 mile in circumference. And I'm gonna have Dusty explain a little about what's going on there.
Great.
So
Yeah, Dusty Valero, Broussard Associates. So I think next slide, right? So we have the Central Park. A lot of amenities here. You'll notice connectivity to the north, business center. Oh yeah, connectivity to various areas throughout the site, up into each quadrant of the housing development, and to the retail center up north. We've got a robust park program here. So we've got in the center, in that kind of yellow area that we show, we've got play equipment for 5 to 12 and 2 to 5, as well as a swing set. Those are popular, and a like a standalone spinner. Kids kind of spin around, really fun. So we got a playground there for a lot of ages. Below that, to the, I guess, the east, to the west, we've got a seating area. We've got covered shade structure. So this park is going to have plenty of green, plenty of shade, plenty of circulation. So for adults, they show up. There's park horse equipment, so the workout equipment, at 2 nodes on the site, the kind of lower yellow portion. So you can take a stroll through the park, jog through the park, stop at these little stations, get a little workout in with your community group, and keep moving through the park, maybe while your kids are playing. Up at the top, we've got accent trees. The kind of red just shows like accent, beautiful kind of trees, with seating areas beneath. So you could sit, look at the park, kind of take it in, just be in nature in this development. And then, you know, we anticipate barbecues, like I said, seating, trash, dog waste stations to keep it clean, keep it organized. But yeah, we think it's a pretty good program for the people that live here and for the larger community of Selma. Yeah, and the next one shows all this, what I said.
I wanted to also highlight that the park's not just for the residents here. It is a public park. We expect the public to come in and enjoy it, as well as the residents here. The four surrounding residential areas are all gated communities, all with a high level of security, but they all have this central amenity right in the middle to bring them all together. Next slide. Trustee just went through. And to wrap it up, this is just an early look at some sketches we have for the exterior, just for scale at this point. We really want to get into the good part after this and start to nail down the solution and the design for every element. So I appreciate your time. Thank you. So.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Next slide. We want to touch base on sometimes we get questions about that's, it's affordable housing, it's poor folks housing, it's, it's gonna be high ridden with crime. And so we just wanted to hit it head on. What is affordable housing? We really consider it workforce housing. So let's take a look at some of the work that we've done. Actually, next slide. In Selma, the AMI, the average area median income is $55,000. And generally, what the tax credit committee calls affordable is these units would be restricted to those folks who are making 30% to roughly 70% of area median income. And so what does that mean in terms of dollars? So if your median income is $55,000, next slide, then you'll find that, you're looking at somewhere between 16,000 at the 30% area median income of it, or to $39,000. Is really, what does that mean? Who are these folks? Keep going, please. Next one. It's us. It's many of us who are just hardworking families that happen to have incomes that qualify. These are many times your neighbors, our uncles, our aunts, many of my family members. It's just they're just at a certain point in their income qualification, and so you might have a job at Walmart or a fast food or at a cannery, or I think of my family, and so the rents need to be affordable, and so really this is workforce housing. So next slide. So this is all growing up. I think about when I think of affordable housing. I generally think of, it's institutional-like masonry block wall. And in my mind, and the reason I know is because I used to live on that corner one. This is in Delray, which community I love and go back to frequently. And so I lived right there. And so this is a housing authority. We were glad to have the shelter. But let's talk about affordable housing today. And so the definition is really different, or what it looks like is very different. Next slide, please. So this is Sarah's Court that we just developed in the Fancher Creek master plan. And this is 120 units of family affordable housing with roughly the same qualifications of income. And we think it's beautiful. It's highly amenitized. There's playground, there's swimming pool. And so we just wanted you to see, next slide, please. This is the project. That's the interior on the bottom left-hand side of the community room, where there's meeting space, there's workout rooms. And you can see up on the upper right-hand photo is in fact, the upper left-hand, you can see the park that's immediately across the street. This area is not totally developed out. Next slide. So this is the senior project. This is 180 units of senior. Both are fact, the Sarah's Court is 100% occupied. This is stabilized as well. I think this is at 98 or 99, just because sometimes there's some turnover. But you can see that this is beautiful. It's affordable. And they have services coming in, the tutorial services in both, social services that come in and out, and it's very popular. I think the residents there are very happy. This is very different than the housing project that I used to live in Delray. Next slide. That's the interior of this is it? Okay, so if you want to help? Yeah. There you go. So I'm going to take a quick break and thank you. Let's go next slide. Next slide. Yeah. Yeah, I can do it here. As they move to the next slides, Sam, are you on the call? Okay, great. There we go. There we go. So I want to, we'll talk about security here in just a moment. Sam, you want to give us just a couple of bullets on Sam Bogdanovich is, I didn't introduce him earlier, but he's our real estate broker, consultant. And I thought for the 5 acres that we have in terms of the commercial, is this helpful? Hopefully this is helpful. We want you to truly understand what we're looking to accomplish. Sam, why don't you give us a couple of bullets on kind of what the status of retail is?
Sure, you bet. My name's Sam Bogdanovich. I'm with Commercial Retail Associates. And as Sal mentioned, we've worked together on all the projects that you guys have seen tonight. Kind of as I said in the community workshop, I probably have the easiest job here. And I probably don't need to tell the Planning Commission what a vibrant retail environment Selma is. It's really gotten to the population stage where there's a lot of national retailers looking around in town, a lot of pad users, fast food guys, chicken, tractor. There's a whole bunch of different retailers looking in town. And from my perspective, our project's going to be probably a couple national retailers, also geared towards the neighborhood retailers to service the households that are part of this project and the surrounding areas. So, like I said, my job's probably the easiest on the whole development because we don't have a lot of retail, relatively speaking. But as far as Selma goes, it's a really vibrant retail market right now. It's busy with a lot of people still looking to enter the market.
Thank you, Sam. Much appreciated. So let's move to security. So, should we build a Costco there or not? Obviously, we've established we just can't. We're prohibited from doing that. Wanted to articulate a little bit what workforce housing really looks like. And then the third major point is third and fourth is security. So let's go to the next slide. So we introduce Robert Arndt is our Chief of Security. Robert has been with us for a number of years, I think 14 or 15 at this point, but he brings with him 35 years of being a sworn police officer for the City of Fresno Police Department. When we asked him to come aboard, it was because we were very serious about making sure that we have good security measures, we have good relationships with the public safety entities. And so the first part is making sure that we have the personnel. The second then is we use a lot of guards. We use Turner Security, who some of you may be familiar with. And our organization has a high respect for John Turner and everybody at Turner Security and the staff. And Mike Mua is here tonight representing Turner Security. We're here because we want you to see who we are so that when you have a question in the community, you can reach out to us. So points on security, because there's going to be, the seniors. And so we want significant seniors who, are going to be walking from their parking stall to the building. And we want to make sure that there's utmost safety, families, mothers and children. So significant lighting, spiked wrought iron fences, or as they call it, tubular metal, gates that lock, surveillance cameras. And I will say that our surveillance cameras all flow back to Turner Security. And then we also have another office where we monitor cameras, whether you're at Sarah's Court or River Park or Campus Point. We also use a flock system, which is a license plate reader that we put at the major entry points. So if you happen to have a warrant or something like that, you're going to be read and we'll get an email. It'll be triggered. It'll trigger somebody to get an email. I don't think we have texting yet, but it notifies us. So we want to know who's on the properties. Daily there is an incident report that we get, those of us in leadership, and it goes out to a number of people within our organization to review the trends, what's going on, what happened the night before. Obviously, we use uniform security and marked security vehicles. The daily incident reports also go to the ownership of the company so that they can see real time what's going on. We do have weekly security meetings every Thursday. Rob, myself, the guards, the property managers will meet to review the trends, again, what's going on a weekly basis. And then it enables us to make real time adjustments. We'll going a little bit over time here, but and then of course we have an annual security roundtable that should you give us the opportunity, that we would certainly ask the Selma Police Department to be a part of. We meet with the City of Fresno Police Department and the Fresno State PD, a couple of different units of Fresno PD, and we would love the opportunity to work with your police department. Next slide. So this is just an image this is an incident report I thought we'd just kind of share with you. This comes out every day and it's multiple pages. By the way, that Robert and the team daily review just because you have surveillance cameras doesn't mean that they work. So you gotta, with having so many surveillance cameras, if you're on one of our properties, there's a pretty good chance we got you on video. And that's important. It's important for any number of reasons. But, and so we're able to see what the issue is. Did somebody call in for an escort? Did somebody have a shoplift? Was there an incident at Sarah's Court? So we just wanted to show you, this is multiple pages long that we go through. Keep going. So kind of the final issue, and almost done here, is to address some of the traffic and traffic relief that the Casita Selma project will bring. To do that, it'll be Mr. Jose Benavides, our traffic engineer.
Thank you, Sal. My name is Jose Luis Benavides. I'm with JLB Traffic Engineering. Our office is at 516 West Shaw, Fresno, California. I'm a civil and traffic engineer. I've been working in this field for about 29 years now. So can you go on to the next slide, please? So this one just, what we're going to go over is a little bit about traffic. And keep going to the next slide. So one of the things that we have today is that the entirety of the traffic that's going either to the Walmart shopping center, whether it be the auto dealership, which is the Toyota, the hotel, and the new businesses that was opened up by Neil Angelillo, which was the Starbucks, the Chipotle, the Habit. They can only get in and out from the eastern part or southern part, northern part of the city through Floral Avenue. That's really their only choice without going a few miles out of their way. So that's what you're seeing in the arrows here. So let's go to the next slide. So once the project's set up, it has still has that, but this project will be building Stillman west to the western boundary and also a north-south street on the west side of the property. That acts a little bit of a relief valve. It's not going to solve all your traffic problems. We're not here to say that, but it will give us other ways to get to the project, and it will also give the community other ways to get, whether it be to the Walmart shopping center or to the western portion of the unincorporated area. Another thing that I would like to point out is today, absent connection through Stillman and north-south between Stillman and Floral, we have no choice but to go through 5 traffic signals. Once this is built to get to this shopping center, the only signal that if you live on the southwest portion and possibly even some of the southern portions of the city, you could use Stillman and get to this center, and that would be one signal. Hypothetically speaking, if you go through one signal and it's on a, let's say, a 90-second cycle length, and you catch it at the end, so you wait for the whole cycle and you wait 90 seconds through one signal to make that turn potentially. If you had to go through 5, you multiply that by that same amount of time, but a little bit more because Highland at Floral is the busiest intersection, in addition to the southbound off-ramp and the northbound off-ramp from the 99. So some of the another thing to think about is that this proposed project will have 6 to 7 access points, all in different locations. Compare that to the Walmart Supercenter, which is a much bigger, higher generator than this one. The Walmart Supercenter, prior to the Starbucks and the Habit, only had 3 access points, and really the majority of the people were using one, which is where the current signal is at today. The one access point to the west is purely for truck access. So if you compare them, this one, you're going to have more opportunities to get into the project, whether it be the residential or commercial. We must say that the internal road through the middle of the project is designed to force traffic to run approximately at 20 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour. So we did hear a concern at the public meeting about we don't want to, it's not a good idea to run it. Well, it's the way it's been designed, you won't be able to speed through it. That's why it has some curbs and whatnot. Next slide, please. This project is part of the EIR process. This project's required to contribute proportionality fair shares pretty much to every intersection that's listed with the circle and the numbers. It's going to be finishing up Floral up to the western boundary, constructing Stillman west to the western boundary, and constructing a north-south road between Stillman and Floral. That's in the community meeting, we were also, a comment was made by one individual, or maybe more, as to why not make this purely commercial. And from a traffic perspective, it's a little bit difficult. As you can see here, if this were a fully commercial, just commercial only, trip generation for a project of this size, you would be roughly in the 19,000 daily trips, whereas this one is a little bit over 9,000. The other part is that when you have a mix of uses, you have interaction between the two uses. For example, if you live in the apartment complexes, you may patronize some of these businesses. You may patronize also the Walmart across the street. So you're not necessarily extending more of those trips. So that's just to give you an idea that a fully developed commercial is not what's being proposed, but it's just so that the public and you as a commission can understand what we could be looking at if this was fully just purely commercial. Next. So with that, I'll turn it over back to Sal.
Just to close, thank you for bearing with us. We, again, we feel it's important. Everybody's put a lot of work, and I'll echo Mr. Perea's sentiments in working with your staff over the last couple of years. They've done an incredible job of responding. We'll close by just saying, as you consider this application before you, we'll ask for your support, but please know that we live here, we work here, we're around. We, by show of just the number of people that we want you to know that we're serious about, it's not just a real estate development project for us, it is human development, and we want to be part of the solutions. And so broaching the what we can build and how we build it, there'll be, a lot of process and time as we move, should you let us, to construction drawings. So many of the issues would be dealt with there with your good staff. However, we appreciate your time and consideration and for listening to us tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sal. Okay. We do have a few questions, I'm sure. So if anybody has anything they'd like to ask, go ahead and address staff. Or do we do public first? Sorry, I apologize. At this time, I'll be opening up the hearing to public testimony. You're going to be limited to 3 minutes. Approach the podium, make sure the microphone is turned on, state your name and address.
My name is Anita Gonzalez. I live at 2743 Sierra Madre. I live on Rose and Highland. It's busy. If you guys gonna bring 600 people more, it's gonna be more busier. And for the older people, how are they gonna go up those stairs? And the traffic's gonna be bad when you get off the freeway. I have trouble going on to Highland because the line is so long because people are coming out of work. And it's gonna get worse with this build. That's it I have to say.
Teresa Salas, 1701 Danube Avenue. I understand the constraints being put on the property, so I think it's a good use of the property. But I do have the concern of traffic also. You're talking about 600 homes, apartments. Even if half of those have vehicles, that's still 300 vehicles coming through there, on top of people maybe trying to take a shortcut through the development to avoid floral. So you're not only talking about the people who are going to be living there, but people going around. So I can see the traffic problem actually getting worse instead of better. I don't know, they're talking about 20 miles an hour through the development. Is that going to be 2 lanes? Is it going to be 4 lane? How big are those internal streets going to be? How much is Stillman going to be developed? Is it going to be 4 lanes? Is it only going to be 2 lanes? Are there going to be signals to get out on the other street that they're planning to put from Stillman to Floral? Are there going to be signals to take you out onto Floral? Or is it going to be a line of cars waiting at a 4-way stop? It's like I said, I can see it's a good use of the property. There's going to be retail, there's going to be hotel, there's going to be housing that we desperately need in Selma. The biggest issue I see is traffic and congestion.
Lorraine Avalos, McCall Village. Okay. With the handicap parking, have you made any adjustments with that? Because I brought this out at the last time. Okay. I didn't see any improvement on that for the handicap because for a senior, especially somebody that is in a wheelchair, you know, or a walker, to go that far, that's too much. And then to have to carry their things too, or even like the 3-story apartments. Those women that are single mothers that have small children and an infant, how can they go that far, take their things and still have their children? You know, that's things you guys have to think about. Okay. Then there's this trash company that's going to come through and they're going to go down and then around and then back. Is that a two-way street there? Is it 2 lanes on that? So that if that truck's going through and then you're stuck behind that truck and you're going to have to wait until they get through with their trash in order to go through. You know what's going to happen? I live in a senior park. We have speed bumps. And you know that those UPS drivers still go through there like crazy? They still go through fast. Okay, and then Stillman, who's going to pay to have it extended out? And then on the 3 stories, are there just stairs or is there elevators? And then with your security, how many guards are there on the property total? Are you going to just have 2 and then have cameras? That doesn't seem like it would be enough for that whole place. Okay, thank you.
Stella Ramirez, Selma resident. I agree, you know, we do need housing here in Selma really bad. However, we really need to evaluate this whole project. Pretty much dissect it. There's a lot of questions about this. The traffic, number one being, yes, the traffic on Floral Avenue. There is a lot of traffic right now, even semis, they got to go deliver at Walmart. If you have an emergency at these apartments, how are you going to get there? The ambulance, the fire department, we got to take that into consideration. There's a roundabout in the middle of the apartments. There's going to be children playing there. And if we want to go through there to get to Walmart in the evening, like right now, we can't see those children. Even though it's lighted, you never know. A ball might run to the street, might run over a child. Safety. Also, citizens of Selma, are they the only ones going to be able to apply for these apartments? They're going to be up against other cities, maybe even people from out of state. So if they have their income lower than the Selma residents, guess who's going to get that apartment? They are. So we have to take into consideration that it's not only open for Selma residents, it's open, it's a pretty much a grab up for everyone. How much is it going to cost the city of Selma? Is it going to cost more than what this project is, you know, Mr. Cashian is going to pay for it? Are we going to pay out of pocket anything? We got to figure that out. We got to find that out. Who's going to maintain the park? Who's going to pay for the park that's being maintained? Who's going to pay for the security? I didn't hear, I might have missed it. Who's going to pay for the security? Let's see. Also, you know, for the way I see it right now, it's a win-win for Mr. Cashian. He gets his apartments built. There's revenue there for him. The leasing on the retail, contractors get paid. Everyone involved gets paid. Mr. Walmart, it's a win-win for him. He got no competition across the street. But let's ask ourselves, is it a win-win for us, Selma residents, City of Selma? You might say, well, we get taxes, revenue from taxes there, but is it worth the traffic when we can wait and build behind Walmart a commercial and get revenue from there? So those are things that we really have to look at. Because at the end of the day, I want to raise of hands, who lives here in Selma? I live here in Selma, and I go to Walmart, I go to Dollar Tree, I go to Starbucks. So citizens are the ones that have to put up with that. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Remember, if you are online or on the phone, hitting *9 will raise your hand, and *6 will mute and unmute.
I don't see anyone on the line.
Then we'll bring the issue back to the Planning Commission for discussion. Am I allowed to give the applicant a chance to answer some of the questions that were asked? Okay. If the applicant would like to answer or address some of the issues that were brought up with the public comment, you can do this at that time.
I'll broach a couple of them, and then I'll ask, particularly on the traffic, for Jose Benavides to respond. In terms of the proximity of the parking to the buildings, so since the workshop, we've met a number of times, and the actual work of the construction drawings are really where that takes place. And so we've asked Scott to do everything he can to move the parking as close to the buildings, particularly the senior projects, for that very reason. And so this is a site plan, it's not a construction drawing, and it's really in the construction drawing phases where we get very specific in the actual design happens. And so moving any stalls as close to the buildings will be addressed at that point. So that didn't go unnoticed. We certainly took that down and discussed it a number of times in the last couple of weeks. In terms of that's ADA parking and folks who might be disabled, and obviously they would be on the units on the first floor are going to be where the ADA units are going to be. And then we've strongly reconsidered particularly for seniors, having elevators in those buildings. At Brand Haven, we have elevators. At our family project, we don't do the 3 stories with elevators on the family side, but we're going to reconsider that. And I will just say that we haven't hit the construction drawing phase yet, so we're not there in that stage of design. In terms of security, again, we generally apply our security measures as we've articulated earlier, and then we deal with if we have incidents, then we will apply more security. Who pays for that? So obviously, these are going to be different communities, and so the project will pay for the community will pay for the security. And then I think there was a question on who's going to maintain the park. So those interior streets are they're private streets, and the park. Generally, what we do is we create our own community facilities maintenance district that really funds and takes care of it at a very, very good level in terms of its maintenance. General funds these days are overly pressed with expenses, and so the maintenance district will take care of the park. So it's appropriately maintained, safe, lighted, and there's ample reserves within the district to make sure that those things are taken care of. So, Jose, you want to address some of the circulation?
Just real quick for clarification, you said the community would pay for the security, so it would be the resident?
When I say the community, I meant, I look at it not as a project per se, so we'll say the development would pay for it, not the residents.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna send them a bill for security. Yeah, thank you for the question, Jose.
Thanks, Al. So some of the questions or comments were related to 600 units and its relationship to traffic. So 600 units, it's a high number, but when you compare that to retail, the traffic is comparable or less than to regular sized fast food restaurants. So you just get that picture. So if you don't have that number of units, that land can build a lot more commercial. The number of lanes on the internal road, right now it's designed, it's contemplated to be a single lane in each direction. We are exploring how that's going to look and feel, especially because we do have to take into account that there will be children in the park. There's going to be, how do we buffer that area? So some of it will be implementing things like traffic calming measures where there is pedestrian crossings between one side of the residential to the park. As far as Stillman, the Stillman is adjacent to the project. It will be built to accommodate 2 westbound lanes, and eastbound, 1 eastbound lane. The north-south road, it will have a minimum of 1 lane in each direction. Internally, the internal road would also potentially have turn pockets. Let me see, did I answer? And as far as building it, generally the offsite improvements would be built by the developer. The city may have some proportionality in their fees, but we don't have that information. The city couldn't answer that part.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Sorry, I got it. That's me, sorry. Just to expand on some of the questions that were asked, I think Jose and the applicant team bring up a great point. I think there's been a lot of conversations about regional commercial being built at this location. The proposed use by the applicant mitigates some of the traffic that would otherwise be placed on Floral Avenue. And so the project has far less traffic generation than would otherwise currently be allowed under the existing general plan designation. So it should, at full build out, be less impactful than what was originally contemplated. Additionally, with the 2 north-south roads being proposed to get people to what eventually will be a 4-lane road on Stillman, to answer that question that was from Teresa, Stillman will be 4 lanes. The western road adjacent to the along the western boundary of the project will also be 4 lanes eventually. So you'll have not just the internal road that, as Jose said, would need some sort of traffic calming measures to prevent. And we've been having this conversation recently with safe routes to schools and other tactical urbanism projects that the city is currently undertaking. Traffic calming measures are in various forms, but the whole goal is pedestrian safety, right? And so if you have residents that walk to the park, you need to assure that the traffic in between them and the park is going at a speed that they can slow down safely, see pedestrians, especially those of younger age, right? And so I think those are all great design points of this project that they've thought through carefully. Again, this project is far less in terms of traffic generation than what otherwise could be there. And in a lot of ways, the improvements that are being put in, which will be at the cost of the applicant for some of the adjacent roads, along with payment of impact fees for their fair share contribution to some offsite improvements. They will pay, upwards, I think it was calculated about $6 million in impact fees to the city for various uses, whether it's traffic, sewer, parks, what have you. They will receive some credit for the park that's being constructed, but as is, the contribution's about $6 million to the city in just impact fees. As Sal also indicated, this project would be annexed into a community facilities district or some sort of other assessment district to fund road maintenance, to fund park maintenance and landscaping maintenance at the cost of the property owners. So those uses wouldn't come from the general fund, similar to our landscape lighting and maintenance districts, similar to the Amberwood subdivision, which will be going to the city council next week. They have an assessment per parcel of about $1,500 to pay for the amenities as part of that subdivision. The policy of the city is that new development pays for itself and becomes less reliant on the general fund. And so every project will go through some sort of an analysis to identify what their amenities cost to maintain and how do they assess that to themselves to keep that cost burden on the development, right? I think with regard to site design, since the neighborhood meeting, the applicant team is reviewing their layout and would be required to submit an amended site plan review before building permit to confirm parking availability and things like that. I think accommodation for handicap is a good comment. However, we are limited to what the building code and local ordinances require. I think taking it to heart, you've heard the applicant team, they're looking at it and they can try to accommodate those types of comments. Same thing with elevators. It's notable that in handicap, or senior living, you may have handicapped people, but if they prioritize the highly handicapped and immobile residents on the first floor, perhaps elevators aren't needed. So that might be another accommodation that could be made at the discretion of the developer. With that, I'm here to answer any other questions I have. Hopefully I answered all the questions that were presented by the public.
Thank you. Jerome, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot. Can you give us a quick synopsis of what RHNA, the Regional Housing Needs Allocation program is?
Absolutely. You're not putting me on the spot. We're supposed to know these things. The Regional Housing Needs Allocation is a calculation derived by HCD of what the anticipating housing need is by jurisdiction. The city participated in the multi-jurisdictional housing element that was put on through Fresno COG. Fresno COG basically ran as point person for all the cities except the city of Clovis and wrote a comprehensive housing element for all the cities in Fresno County, sans Clovis. From 2024, I believe, to 2033, the anticipated need for the city of Selma is 1,492 homes. About half of that would be in the low or very low income group. And so this project was actually not able to be included as part of our RHNA available site inventory, and which is why we initiated numerous rezones within the city to accommodate that need within the city limits. This project alone, with about 300 units in affordable and what we term special needs housing is what the senior falls under, would satisfy almost half of our regional housing need allocation for this reporting period, if it was built within the reporting period. So this project does carry general plan consistency with our housing element policies and was considered as part of that overall exercise and identified as a potential project to help us meet that need. Hopefully that answered your question on the spot.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, at this time, we're going to close the public comment and we're going to turn it over to the planner commissioners.
Lupe, a question for you, please. During your presentation, you said there were letters submitted for this project from 8 entities that are in our packet. We can't find them. So do you mind providing those?
That was, so the packet, the EIR alone was like 500 some pages, so I have them. They're available online, but I can print each, if you want 500 pages, I can print them for you.
No.
Or you just want the letters from the EIR?
Not from the EIR. Basically, there was a list.
Those letters are in the EIR.
Okay, so we just needed just the letters. Like, we don't need 500
Yeah,
pages.
I can get you the letters.
Commissioner Corey, the letters received were the letters received during the draft EIR 45-day comment period, which is a statutory period. And those letters review the EIR and provide feedback or corrective information that is then in that final EIR document. And so those letters are part of the EIR. So for context purposes, I think the EIR would be the appropriate method of reading those letters, and then the response to comments provided within the final EIR shed light on clarification if it was wrong information or were there corrections made to the EIR that needed to be documented for informational purposes. So I do think you need the 500-page document.
Electronically.
Yeah, that's fine. Because unfortunately, the link you sent us kept giving us a server error, so we couldn't see them online, and they're not in our packet.
Sure, I can provide that for you.
Go ahead.
You have a question? No, go ahead first. No.
The nice off. Are there any other questions from the commissioners?
Well, yeah, I have a bunch.
Okay.
All right, I'll go.
Here's my answer, my questions.
My first question is, the 120 units that are allocated for seniors and the other 180 that are allocated for affordable housing, who ensures that this doesn't change in a year, or for how long is that restriction? So if we are trying to accommodate special needs housing, how long will that restriction stays? Who monitors it? Who ensures that once the 300 market rate units are rented, if there's more need for market rate, that these don't get converted?
So the applicant can expand on this, but they're required to have basically a land contract or a covenant recorded that they will hold affordability for, I believe, 55 years on that property. And that is monitored by the Housing Authority as well as the Housing and Community Development Department at the state of California, HCD.
Thank you. I would like to make a comment also about the traffic congestion. I understand the applicant said that retail stores generate more traffic. However, the one thing with residential units, 600 cars are going to need to exit at the same time in the morning, and 600 cars are going to need to come home in the evening. That is not the case when you have retail space. So retail generates more traffic, but it's dispersed throughout the day. It does not create such a congestion when everybody's trying to get to work and school and everybody trying to get home at the same time. So that is the concern that we have, because that intersection is already overly congested. Well, as you mentioned, 5 traffic signals that are back to back. When that retail space was being developed, I raised the same concern that we should mitigate the traffic on Floral and Highland before we allow further development. That kind of went, I don't know, unnoticed, unheard, I'm not sure, or maybe there was thoughts of mitigating that, but that did not get addressed. Adding those 600 cars, and that's talking about 1 car per unit, there are chances where there's sometimes 2 cars per unit. Having to exit and enter at the same time is going to create a massive congestion. If people start hating driving by that area for retail purposes, when I need to go purchase grocery and it's going to take me longer on the road than the time I spend in the store, I avoid that area completely. So your retail space that is to the front, uh, I'm not sure who is going to be in charge of petitioning national retailers or restaurants or whatever it is. But if they don't feel that they're having enough clients that come due to the traffic concerns, they will sit vacant. There are areas of Fresno that do suffer from that, and you do see the retail space sitting vacant. So that is an issue to consider all the time when we're approving development. None of us here, and the rest of the commissioners can correct me if I'm wrong, none of us here are against development, improvement, affordable housing, senior housing. It's all great. It's a beautiful project that you're bringing. And we are familiar with the rest of the projects that you've done. We love them. And we shop at those retail places that you've done in Fresno. So this is not us saying that this project is a bad project for Selma. We understand everything that it brings to the city and we welcome it, but there are concerns that need to be addressed before saying this is all golden and great. The conditions and restrictions that you presented also are awesome. The fact that there are security, lighting, all of that. My concern is that sometimes developers need to sell, and the person that purchased also take over does not hold the project to the same values and standards that you do. So something to consider to make them permanent if you do develop this project is that making sure whoever takes over down the road does not turn it into an eyesore and, you know, an area of blight. We don't want that. We just, if we're doing all this effort into developing this, we don't want it to look like abandoned and destroyed down the road. So I don't know how long you will keep security or who will help maintain the park. I just do hope that you take that into consideration. The other question I would have is, I'm assuming, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, this is Eric White School District for the elementary?
Harry?
Yeah, I believe
I
we checked with
believe
Selma
so.
Unified and it was Eric White, yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure if anybody reached out to Eric White to see if they can absorb, I don't know, 300 new students or however it is. So that basically talking to the school district is one thing I would recommend. And I would like to see the preference given to Selma residents for the affordable housing and seniors before we allow people to come from other towns, because if we are doing this to help the residents of Selma, there has to be a restriction that we do not open it to out of town. The market rate, it doesn't matter because anybody can come and rent. That's not a concern. But if we are trying to offer affordable housing for our working force and for our seniors, I believe we should have restrictions that until everybody who's in Selma that is interested is given a chance, we should not be allowing other people to take their spots. Thank you.
Is that
Can-
all your questions, Commissioner Corey?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me start with the most recent one, school facilities. We did reach out to Selma Unified School District to talk to them about which school availability and what is their planning for future schools. What they told us is they've actually had dropping enrollment over the last 10 years, and they've actually had more transfers out than transferred in. So there's actually a declining enrollment in Selma Unified School District. They did tell us that the next school that they would build would be an elementary school. But they did account for this project as well as the other Amberwood development projects that we have as part of their 2024 school facility planning study, which they completed. And it gives a breakdown of their anticipated growth and that they are planning for future facilities throughout the city. If you recall, Amberwood actually, I believe, has an elementary school site planned into it. So you would have a change of enrollment, maybe when that elementary school is built out in Amberwood, you would have some students shift over there, which would create additional capacity at some of the other elementary schools as well. But we did speak with Selma Unified about that, and they are aware of this project and planning accordingly. With regard to traffic congestion, I believe the slide that was provided in the report or in the presentation given by the applicant team, actually shows trip generation in the morning would be less at peak hour times than if it were developed as a commercial site. So I understand your premise and the ideology you're looking through, but from a traffic generation and traffic engineering standpoint, that is not true. The development of a commercial retail site actually will, as a full commercial site rather than a partial commercial, partial residential site, the fully developed commercial site would have more AM peak hour trips by almost 200 more trips than the residential would. And so I understand where you're coming from, but again, you would have less traffic generated by this project. Additionally, this project will build expansion infrastructure of the local circulation system to accommodate the increases in traffic. They're having to widen Floral. They're building 2 roads north-south, and they're building Stillman. And so you're having these other items go along with this project to help alleviate some of the congestion. As they stated during their presentation, some of the people in the southwest part of town have to go through the Floral Highland intersection. They will not have to do that if Stillman is extended and you have roads going north-south. So that alleviates some of the congestion generated at Highland and Floral, right? And so existing residents will benefit from this project, not just the residents that are being proposed within the project who may walk to theirs, and they may not even have a traffic trip generated because they can walk to the commercial uses. So again, I just want to make clear this project from a traffic generation standpoint would generate less traffic than a fully commercial retail site.
And Jerome, if I could just, when we reached out to Selma Unified, the report they gave us back for correction, Selma Casitas school students will go to Terry School, not Iroquois.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank everybody that was involved in putting this together. I know it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of studies, from city staff to the River Park and Mr. Cashin and his team. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming here today. Like I said, this is a huge project, huge. It could either make us or break us, for Selma residents, for, people that are going to come living here. So I do have a few questions. I hope they can all be answered. I'll start with, can we go back to the map of the roundabout and the aerial view? So my question for that is, why a roundabout? Why not make another street? Because you did give us a street. I'm gonna call it the unnamed street on the back, would be the west side. Why not give us another one on the east side instead of giving us the roundabout? Because I'll tell you right now, roundabout is not gonna do it, because people don't even respect bus stops when they pick up the kids. They just go through those stops. There's a lot of complaints on social media.
So again, with a roundabout, you're not supposed to go fast. I can respect what you're stating, but if you have a more narrow road that's not straight, that has traffic calming measures, we do what we can, whether we have speed humps or what have you. You can't speed through a roundabout. You can speed through an intersection if it's straight, and it makes it more unsafe for pedestrians. So having the road on the outside away from a public gathering place, I think is the proper design here, to ensure pedestrian safety for the residents that are there. You could have seniors going to the park. Keeping it as slow as possible around the park, I think, is the proper design call for the roundabout.
Oh, never mind. Hi, Jerome. This is Jose Benavides. I'm going to answer the question. Right now, it does appear to look like a very large roundabout, but in the design, let me look for the pointer. The way this is being designed, this will be the main street. These will be side streets. They would have no choice but to stop. That's how we're going to be setting them up internally. So this would not have the operations of a roundabout, and it is not a roundabout. It looks like one, but that's not our intent. Our intent that this is going to be a curvilinear road, but this is the main road. This side would be the way it's gonna act is if you really want to get to this point, you're gonna continue straight on this side. You're not gonna be changing like you would at a roundabout. It's hard to see, but right now you can tell that this kind of bumps out right here. We will, as we get closer to the next steps, we will come up and prepare a design and potentially cross section so you have a better understanding how it's gonna flow. But thank you for that question. I hope I answered that.
Yeah, and then real quick, is it gonna be a 2-lane or 4-lane?
So
Coming
two
in.
lanes, so that right now, like I said, we don't have a design, but conceptually, this is 2 lanes. We would, right now, we're planning that across on like the exterior portions, there would be no parking and parking along the park.
Okay, yeah, because like I said, my only concern is this, and also the schools. People don't even respect the schools when kids get out. There's an individual here, I'm not gonna out them, but their grandchild got ran over behind the high school. So that's what I'm saying. It's a huge concern, a very huge concern. There's seniors, there's kids, you name it. My next question is,
Actually, Commissioner, can I respond to that really
Yes.
quick? The design difference around the high school is you have 4-lane roads on either side, north, south at the high school, right? Which is and they're straight. And so it's considerably different than the design here that forces you around a curve and slow and tries to constrain you so you slow down. The wider the street is, the faster people will go. The more constrained the street is, the appearance of it being tight, they slow down because they feel like they can't fit in the lane and they have to come to an intersection that is curved, so they have to look around. The design here forces people's brains to stop, consider their surroundings, and then decide where to go. Whereas with a straight road with no stop signs or anything like that, you can just go straight and you're not necessarily mindful of your surroundings. As you're aware, the city, as part of our tactical urbanism grants, trying to break up some of the monotony around our schools with visibility of crosswalks, paint, speed buttons, all of these things that break up and constrain some of the areas around our school so people drive slower, right? Because we are aware that we've had pedestrian incidences at our schools, and these type of improvements are aimed towards pedestrian safety. If there is some congestion and people are driving slower, is that a bad thing for pedestrians? Not necessarily, right? Because people have to slow down, but we do what we can between design and construction to try and protect pedestrians as much as possible.
okay, thank you. And then for over on this on Stillman, because you said you're gonna open up Stillman, if you can go back to the map again. So right in the corner of Stillman and the unnamed street, is there gonna be a stoplight or a stop sign of some sort? And even on top on Floral and the unnamed street.
Okay, so at Stillman, Stillman and the future North-South Road, my understanding that it may be called Fancher Street, based on some naming that we got from the city. But at that intersection, if we come in as an L, we'll have discussions with the city, whether it should be a two-way, one-way stop in one of the directions. Stop signs are really controlled under the California Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. We can't just implement stops at will. We have to follow the protocol. So if the protocol is met, a stop sign can be installed. As far as north, as you get to Fancher Street to Floral, initially it will be stop controlled. But Floral would remain until at such point that a warrant's met to change it.
Okay. Yeah. Now for the price of the homes, what are the, or is there an idea of the homes, singers, middle?
Yeah, thank you. So I can tell you two things. So this is for rent housing, so they won't be for sale. We build and hold, by the way. We are not famous for selling. You got to do a lot to get us to sell. It's not that we haven't, but my boss and the methodology of this company has been more like the Irvine Company in Southern Cal. We have a hard time selling because it's kind of part of who we are. And but on your question, on the workforce housing rents, they're probably going to be someplace around $500 to $1,200. And we'll have to see where the market is at on the market rate, but you know, it's hard to say today. I can speak to the affordables because it's ironic. We're told what the rents are. The market doesn't bear the rent. We get a note from the tax credit allocation committee, and yes, these are deed restricted units. So trying to get out of them, and it's not something that we came to Selma because we think our product and our work and where this community is headed match. And we think our longevity and we think our methodology together would be a mutually beneficial achievement. And so anyway, back to your question, the rents are told to us on the affordable. So they do escalate. The tax credit committee, escalates them sometimes every year, sometimes every 3 years. And so they don't restrict our expenses, our operating expenses. They go up no matter what it's relative to the market. And so those costs generally go up when the rents don't. So that help you understand. I can't see anything more on the market rate than $1,700-$1,800. We'll know when we hit the market.
Thank you. And then, so pretty much we have, correct me if I'm wrong, 11.16 acres for 300 market rate multi-home units, correct? 5.64 acres of commercial use, correct? And then 7.01 acres of 180 affordable multi-unit family homes, and 5.41 acres of 120 affordable senior units. So if my math is correct, that's 23.58 acres for the multi-units. And for the commercial / food is the 5.64. So that to me it's already a red flag for me because you're giving us more of homes than you are retail fast food. I know we can't have commercial and all that good stuff, but it's a good piece of land, a very good piece of land. And it's unfortunate that, Walmart put that barrier in there because now that binds us, the city, the community. As one of the community members stated, it's beneficial for Mr. Cashian, for the team, but is it really when you really think about it, is it really beneficial for the city of Selma? Because I feel like we should have commercial with commercial and residential with residential. If you start mixing the two, it's not, for me personally, it's not gonna look right. I feel we should keep the two separated. So I would like to see more of, fast food or retail, whatever you're gonna bring. I mean, do we even know who's gonna come in? What's coming in? Do we know?
So we've certainly been talking to the retailers and providers. It's not something that we negotiate in the public domain. So we got about 1.5 million square feet of retail. We have pretty good relationships, and we do have retailers that are very interested. But we don't have a signed lease, but we don't want to give that impression at all. But as I just echo what Sam Bogdanovich indicated, that we think the commercial side of this is gonna do well. I don't think we'll have an issue here.
Okay. And then real quick, how many cameras in the
So we started gaming that out this morning. I don't have a number for you. What I will say is at Brand Haven, that's the seniors project, there's an inordinate amount. We have 17 cameras there. And so the likelihood, we started plotting locations for cameras today. I don't have a number for you. I know that all the, the main thoroughfares would certainly be covered. We like covering walkways. We use, they're called PTZs, point tilt zoom cameras, where they follow. So I don't have a number, but I would say it would be, we won't change our level of surveillance from what we already have in our retail and our residential side.
Okay. I got two more questions and then I'll make a closing statement. So will you guys be funding the full project? City of Selma won't fund anything?
So here's what I know. We're gonna pay millions of dollars in, I'd say I was telling a little bit earlier, just on the commercial, just on the residential, we're probably in just over $200 million in the vertical for the multifamily. That's not counting the, I can tell you what we're gonna be paying. If you're asking me the question which was asked before, I know more about what we have to pay and less about what Selma has to pay, but I do know this, in terms of affordable, the way the affordable projects work is you need a local match to help be competitive. So from that perspective, and we just don't know that number. We haven't filed the applications here. So, but I do know this. I know we're probably $300-400 million of investment of capital in one way, shape, or form from our side. And our team generally, issues personal guarantees and recourse, which all means we're on the hook. So we'll be investing a significant amount of money, not to mention the property tax base that'll be increased, and then the sales tax from the commercial side.
And then my last question, will there be like a divider, some kind of brick wall separating the two from the retail, from the homes?
So that's a good question. I think in the existing design, I think, Scott, you have a masonry block wall between the two, and that's oftentimes, everything that we're doing, by the way, no matter what we design, we're gonna have to comply with the Selma Municipal Code. And so your designers are gonna tell us as much as we're gonna tell it. I think the current, I don't know what the code is specifically, but right now Scott has a masonry block. Jerome?
Yeah, between non-residential and residential uses, so the commercial would be non-residential, there is a requirement for a block wall.
Okay. Again, like I said, thank you for the caching team. Thank you to city staff. Again, like I said, it's a lot to take in. This is a bit, like I said, like I said in the beginning, this is a big project. It'd be beneficial if Selma residents were to only apply, because like the community member said, it's just, if it's up for grabs, anybody can come in, and is it really benefiting Selma? I personally, I don't think so. But, again, like I said, it's a very, very good piece of land, huge piece of land, 39 acres. And, people have thrown the idea out there, why not a Costco? Why not a Target? Why not this? Why not that? And, that's the vision that I see in the future, start growing like Hanford, because Hanford has grown a lot. I don't know if anybody took on it recently, but they have everything, pretty much everything over there now. They've grown a lot. And that's the direction where I would like to see Selma to go in the future. I'm still young, I would still like to see, those big box stores come in. So, why not make it a win-win for everybody? A win-win for Selma, a win-win for the residents, a win-win for Mr. Cashin. And what I mean by that is, why not just sell the land back to Walmart? Have Mr. Walmart put in his super Walmart that people have been asking for, because people don't even go to Walmart anymore. Family members, friends, coworkers that I've asked, I've talked to, no, they go to Dinuba, they go to Sanger, they go to Fresno, they go to Clovis. Why? Because they have the super Walmart. They have these big stores. So we're losing all that revenue. All that revenue could be going here to Selma. We can have more police officers, we can have more firefighters, we can have so much more. So, sell it back, have him put his Walmart in, and then you guys get that money back and buy, and buy that land for that residential. Because like, again, I'm gonna make this very, very clear for the record. I am not against the homes. I'm not. It's just the location of where they're going. Again, because it goes back to the traffic, it goes back to the safety, it just goes back to everything. So that's just, yeah, those are my thoughts. Thank you.
If I could respond to you, Commissioner Ramirez, I think I have a couple of comments regarding your questions and some of your ideas. First of all, the state of California is promoting mixed-use projects, whether it's vertical or horizontal, in an effort to reduce vehicle miles traveled. The proposed design of this project has connections to the adjacent commercial areas to reduce reliance on the automobile for residents. They're trying to connect with the Food for Less, parking lot so that people can walk the Jack in a Box, walk to Food for Less rather than drive, right? They're across the street from other uses like Starbucks and The Habit, and they'll have maybe some restaurants on their side that their residents could walk to. So the idea of this is what's referred to as horizontal mixed use, actually reduces traffic trips for internally for the existing residents. As we've stated, you put a different use here. I mean, there's no guarantee Walmart or another developer would buy this property back. In reality, Walmart was willing to sell it to another developer because they felt like it wasn't of value to them for a proposed use. And so they sold it. If it was of value to them, I'd imagine they wouldn't have sold it, right? But they put restrictions on it, and that is a very common thing for all developers to do to limit competition. I saw it in Delano with the Super Walmart there. Within that whole shopping center, there's a strict limitation on other things that can be built there around their Super Walmart, right? So that is a common practice in the commercial space to restrict adjacent uses. With regard to, the divider between uses that's in the development code already between residential, non-residential projects. But for the city to have someone willing to invest $400 million, not just in construction, but also in offsite infrastructure to enhance our circulation system, build roads that aren't there, to try and alleviate those issues, I think it's a huge win-win for the community to get started on fixing some of our issues at that location that weren't addressed with Walmart, that weren't addressed with the Habit and some of the other uses that were there. This project will be required, as shown in their traffic impact study and their conditions of approval, to widen roads, to put in other intersection enhancements that alleviate traffic for residents within this area, as well as patrons that are coming in. In addition, the city is already engaged with Caltrans on specific improvements to the southbound floral off-ramp to change that intersection so people may be able to turn left to go to some of these uses rather than going up the street and making a U-turn or finding another way to get to Walmart, as well as possibly revamping the Highland floral intersection, as well as the intersection further east on floral, that's the northbound off-ramp. We've been engaged with Caltrans on various designs to try and alleviate some of that traffic congestion to keep people moving, right? Whether that's a roundabout, whether that's different traffic timing or different intersection alignments. We're studying that with Caltrans, for which impact fees paid by this project and other projects would go to building those enhancements. As the presentation showed, the fair share allocation of this project to some of those intersections is only like 13%. The highest I think I saw was about 20. And so they're not 100% responsible for some of these improvements. If they wanted to build some of them, we could give them credit on their impact fees and we would get an immediate improvement. And that's part of the discussions that we have with developers when they're constructing on, as part of a development agreement or something like that. Is there some bartering and trading that could be done to maybe get some of the upfront improvements in exchange for impact fee credits? That's all a discussion. But at the end of the day, this project is not going to generate as much project as is currently allowed on that site. It's self-mitigating, and they're proposing additional circulation measures that help alleviate traffic in that area. In addition, they're investing $400 million, generating property tax, sales tax to the community while providing housing to sections of our city residency and maybe residents of the region as a whole. You can't grow a city without people coming into the city. We're not going to fill up all the housing just internally, right? And so the highest portion of the population nationwide is the senior population. So they're providing housing to serve that community as well as our community that is within the three, I call it the 3-city stretch, Fowler, us, and Kingsburg. I think we're the lowest household per income. So providing affordable units at a range of 500 to 1,400 per unit would help people that have normal jobs qualify for adequate, subsidized, clean housing units, right? That are built. They've done their due diligence. They've done these type of projects before. They know what they're doing. But for our community, this type of housing is what is needed in addition to the other types of housing that we're building in town. So it's a full-fledged approach from the planning department to make sure all types of housing and all segments of the population are served, either whether it's at the Amberwood project or in this project. You have people of varying incomes that need various types of housing, and the more options we can provide, we can better serve our residents. So I'll just leave it at that.
So, hey, Sal, I just want to say, like you, I grew up in affordable housing. I don't know if that's what, I grew up in the projects till about sixth grade. So, and I was raised by a single mom, and I know how vital this type of housing is because I don't know how we would have survived if we didn't live it. It wasn't in Selma, it was in another community, but I did grow up in affordable housing. And I have to agree, this is absolutely a win for Selma. And I understand no matter what is built there, there's going to be traffic, and it sounds like everybody says that there's only going to be traffic there. If I have to go to Walmart, and I do go to Walmart or Habit or Chipotle, I have to drive by 4 or 5 neighborhoods and 1 or 2 parks. There's kids there. It's okay to drive by those kids, and all of a sudden they won't know how to drive by future kids living there. So I know it's unknown, and you always want to think the worst, but you know what? It will adjust. There will be other routes to go in, and occasionally I do go down rows and go all the way back to, at the peak hours, and these mitigations of Stillman will do that. And I think Mr. Perez said this was like two years and a half making to get in here. It's actually closer to 20 because they did want to build a super Walmart there because they wanted to sell groceries. And I remember back at the day, because I was one of the person at the community, we had 2 grocers, Phil Gong and Jim Avalos, rally the community. Super Walmart's going to kill the grocery stores. So we came in here and we as a community, we killed Super Walmart from building there. We did that. And now, 20-something years later, we have a developer willing to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to finally build something, right? And when we're talking about, well, there might be it might increase my traffic to Walmart. I understand, I don't like the traffic, but this is part of progress, okay? This is part of progress. And because we did that, we can put, I would love a Target there. I would love a Whole Foods there. Seymour, I would love all that there. But we can't have that. But if this goes well, perhaps the Cashin Group would be willing to build that right next to it in the future. If we can get a good working relationship. Because all right now we got there is a couple of taco trucks that don't give anything back to the city. And if you like the taco trucks, don't worry, because they always just move to the edge of town. They're not going anywhere. But I think it's a great thing to have, and I think it is an absolutely win. I'm totally a support of this. I think we got to bite the bullet and grow this community. In the past, I don't know what the reasoning was. We built neighborhoods without green space. Now we changed that. We have finally, after 20-something years, we're talking about building 2 major housing communities with green space. And what's the one complaint we have? We don't have green space for our kids. So we get something that's going to help with the housing elements, put in green space, help reduce our other options, to that part, that only shopping center we have, really the vital shopping center in town. And we're looking at all the negatives instead of all the positives. I think this is a fabulous project. I appreciate Mr. Cashin Group buying this property because I know in the past, developers have looked at it and they all walked away and they've said, because there's too many restrictions. Okay, but because we want it perfect, we say, oh, it might increase traffic, that we're not willing just to move forward because we're so stuck because we want a 100% perfect, and we're never going to get that. And Florida's always going to be, unless they tear down that freeway overpass and rebuild it, Florida is always going to be a bottleneck right there. That's just the reality of it. We can get $300 million and rebuild the freeway in 2 years, maybe we can add an extra lane in Floral. But I think this is a great project. I think we have to do it because actually all the things that we want as a community, breaking this gridlock, developing this will allow for all those other things to go around it, And I think it's a fantastic idea. I know for years, 20 years, they've been talking about developing right there behind Walmart. They're still talking about it 20 years later. Mr. Cashin comes here in 2 years and is moving the envelope, willing to invest his money where everybody else wants fee waivers, right? And we're saying, oh, it might increase it might make me a minute more longer in the morning when I go through. And, there is going to be more traffic there, but everybody doesn't go to work at 8 a.m. Everybody doesn't go to work, and so it's, there'll be a group that goes to school. There'll be seniors who don't leave till 11. Like me, sometimes I take off at 4 in the morning to work. Roads are wide open. So I think as a community, we got to stop obsessing on it being perfect and be grateful that we have somebody to actually help finally move our community grow at this intersection. So I'm 100% in support of this project. I think it's an absolutely great thing. And once again, the Cashin Group, I appreciate you looking at Selma because I know there's other retailers who looked at it. And, maybe you can bring in Tractor Supply. They've been since DB, they've been trying to come to Selma, and it's always one little hiccup or another. Maybe in the future you can build Tractor Supply right next to this, but you got to buy more land to do that. But that's so. With that, that's closed. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Are there any more comments from anyone on the
I
docket?
just want to say really quick for the record, I'm not opposed to, again, the housing, the residential. I'm so for residential for Selma. Again, it's just the location. Thank you.
So the main concern I'm hearing is traffic. Unfortunately, a lot of the traffic on Floral is controlled by Caltrans, and we don't have access to some of the things that we think could mitigate the traffic in the Selma area, in that Floral area, because Caltrans has placed restrictions on it. Maybe we could, in the future, negotiate with Caltrans to maybe partner with them to do some sort of mitigation for that traffic area. There's a lot of unknowns on this project, and I can understand the concerns because we don't know how many people are going to leave Walmart and go straight so they can connect with Stillman so they can get to that part of Selma or to get to Kingsburg or Hanford or other parts. All of them now currently turn left onto Floral, and that's part of the traffic problem. So along with some other unknowns, these are just things that we're going to have to deal with as they occur. I think that when a large development happens in a community and it's successful, that's when other developers begin to look at our community, and they will be purchasing property without these restrictions that Walmart has placed on it. And we can have some good quality growth, retail, residential, and even manufacturing growth, which will create a much more, excuse me, a much more broad community, including jobs that'll be coming for the residents of Selma, people moving from other areas into Selma, because we're the kind of town that attracts, not the kind of town that repels. And lastly, the only other thing that I would like to have addressed is we have a Fresno County Rural Transit Agency, and they provide bus services for people in Selma. They have buses that go to Reedley College, on a daily basis. They have buses that go to downtown Fresno where you can hook up with the fax system and get anywhere you need to go in Fresno. We also have transportation for people who have handicap or other areas. I would like for there to be a consideration for adding a Fresno County Rural Transit Agency hub there, especially for the seniors, because they will be the ones that will be using it. If there's no further comments, I think somebody needs to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Corey? I'm sorry. Commissioner Franco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Corey?
Abstain.
Commissioner Hall?
No.
Commissioner Ramirez?
No.
Chair Garcia?
Yes.
And approved.
I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Actually, can I make one announcement, guys?
Oh, sure. Yes.
For those of you that aren't aware, my last day at the City of Selma will be November 21st. I've appreciated the time in Selma, working with the Planning Commission on all types of projects. My hope is to continue working with Selma, whether it's in a developer capacity, support capacity, what have you in the future. But I know my paths will cross Selma again at some point in time. And I just want to wish the City of Selma and thank the City of Selma for trusting me with their community development activities.
Well, that's too bad for the City of Selma. I hope that when the city hires to replace your position, they can find somebody with your experience, your knowledge, and your dedication.
I appreciate that, Chairman.
This meeting is adjourned. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.